What is going on, everyone? Hello, hello, hello. Alright, my mic is working today. Hi guys, what's good, Terrell, Queen, Daniel, Godzilla, Sky, Dollar, Rosa, Collipop, AJ. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the live stream. Apologies for no live stream yesterday. I don't know if I streamed the day before that either. I did. Well, apologies for no Union Cross or Kingdom Hearts live stream the past 2 days. I did one Genshin stream, but don't expect this live stream to be very long. It could be, this live stream very possibly could end up being under an hour. And that's because over the next 2 days, there are some things taking place in my personal life that I'm going to want to pay attention to. I do still have time for videos in the morning, but it will affect live streams for just the next 2 days, but after that will be good. But how are you guys doing? Hey, oh, I didn't mean for that to switch. Hold on, I gotta fix that. Did not mean for that wallpaper to switch at all. But this Drill Beloved is from the ending of Union Cross. There we go. I'm good. How are you doing? I'm doing all right. I'm doing very good, actually. Guess I'll make a summary video. I'm new to this Union Cross game. There's plenty of summary videos you can go to. I'd recommend a YouTuber by the name of KH Damo. Right, is it KH Damo? I think it's just Damo, but yeah, Damo279. They have plenty of videos talking about Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and summarizing the plot if you don't feel like playing the game or watching cutscenes. Cavern Remembrance Orchestra, best KH music ever. I don't know about that, but it's pretty good for sure. Is it a sin to like dream drop more than Birth by Sleep? I don't think it's a sin to like any Kingdom Hearts game. Personally, I mean, I can't think of a KH game that you can't be justified in liking, and even then, if I could come up with one, it would only be because of my subjective views on that said game. But you can like whatever KH game you want. There's some pretty easy reasons to have any KH game as your favorite. Not gonna lie, I think Union Cross might be the best Kingdom Hearts story to date, and if it got a remake, it would only cement it as that. Okay. I definitely think Union Cross is up there. Like, the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, man, this story is just way too good. It's way too good. I love it. Alright, so how do you guys want to do this? Do you guys want to just talk, or do you guys want to do a tier list discussion? We could do that. I mean, it'd be up to you guys, but I'm not object to it. I wouldn't mind. Tier list discussion. Tier list will get heated. I mean, it's not going to get heated. I'm not going to get heated.
I know you probably haven't
Oh, ads.
but don't worry.
Ads.
And you could save 20%.
Ads. Hold up. Alright, there we go. I think the Master of Masters is a character we know it from like Final Fantasy or even a brand new character. I think the Master is a new character. I definitely think the Master is a brand new character. The Unicross and Yozora universe seems so different. How do you think they'll be linked together? They kind of gave us a thought about how they might be linked together in the ending, because it seems like the Master of Masters has a lot to do with the Union, with Quadratum and stuff. So he's going to be a gateway to tie us into that world, which I think is a perfect way to do it, to be honest. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a tier list that I'm comfortable with using. Alright, so we could use this site if you guys wish. And we'll zoom in a bit so it's just easier for you guys to understand where I'm coming from. Oh. Here we go. Alright. How's the murder keep doing it? I have no idea how this man keeps making like stories that are just so interesting. Like it's crazy. Ranking them by story or gameplay? Story. As it says in the title, we're ranking this by story. How does Kingdom Hearts Unicross stack up to other Kingdom Hearts stories? That's the discussion here. Oh, my mistake. Yo, what's good, Sammy? How's it going? Alright. Okay. Whew. Alright. So, we've done these basic... Well, hold on. So, we've done these sort of story tier list a lot before. But what makes it different now for Union Cross is that we know how Union Cross's story ends, and it changes your perception of a lot of things. Union Cross is still Union Cross's ending is still fairly new, fairly recent, so there may be a little bit of bias, a little bit of a honeymoon phase that's still active, but I'm going off of my right now feeling and your guys's right now feeling. Let's have this discussion. So I'm curious. So we're gonna go through these one by one, and we're gonna go through. I don't know why there's final mix and stuff in here, but we're gonna go through your guys' opinion. Excuse me, opinions. So where do you guys feel like Kingdom Hearts 1 stacks up in terms of story? Like what tier list would you put Kingdom Hearts 1 on? By the way, the way we do these polls, just spam in the chat only one person, just type it once. Put in the chat just what tier you think it should go in. S, A, B, C, D. B? Dang, I see a lot more B's than I expected. That's genuinely surprising, seeing a lot of you post A, or even B in some cases. I see very minimal S's. Is it jarring because, like, talking to like a lot of friends on Discord, it's like unanimous that KH1 is the S tier. A lot of people would say it might have the best story in the entire series. So seeing a lot of you guys put in A is interesting. Alright, so let's do that. Alright, so A tier for KH1, because that's what I see the most. So that's how we're going to do it. I'm not going to do some weird adding up numbers and summing it up and divide. I'm not doing all that. We're just going to do whatever I see the most of in chat. Alright, where would you guys put... What's the next game? Where would you guys put Chain of Memories story? A, S. Okay, I see more S's for Chain of Memories than I do KH1. That's different. It's a little bit of a mix though. It's definitely a little bit more mixed. I see some D's in there too. That is surprising. Oh my. Okay. It's harder than I thought. Yeah, I'm gonna do your guys' tier list, and I'm gonna do my own as well. This will be like your guys' tier list. For me, it's really hard. Like, I almost the really the shill side of me, which is pretty much that's kind of how I am with Cage. I just shill the heck out of Cage. This series is so good. That side of me is just gonna would want to put almost all the stories in like S or A. But I see a decent bit of B's. It's hard. It's definitely between B and A. All right. Question. So, all right. Since it's between B and A, would it go? Specify this for me. Would you guys say A above or below KH1 or just B? So type. Those are going to be like the three options. Either A above KH1, A below KH1, or just regular B. Just B. B. A above KH1. Ooh. Below B. Alright, it's definitely looking like a B for Chain of Memories. Alright. Definitely looking like a B for Chain of Memories. But I do see some people saying it's above KH1, which that's pretty interesting. Alright. So, where would you guys put Kingdom Hearts 2 now? Where's KH2 going? Kingdom Hearts 2 story, by the way. The story of KH2. This is a story tier list. Story. And Hearts of Kingdom, no, don't spam. I see some C's for the story. Oh, man. Oh man, more C's. So yeah, I saw a couple S's in the beginning. Saw a lot of S's to start us off. And I saw it got lower and lower. I saw A's. Saw some B's in there. C's. Ooh. Alright, so I'm feeling an A. Well, I mean, I'm starting to feel an A because it actually looks split between like A, B, well, between A, S, and C. So I'm feeling the A. All right, so A below KH1, or okay. So we'll specify. Pick between A and B because it's definitely not S based off of what I'm looking from people. So A, specify. A below KH1, above KH1. B below Chain of Memories, or above Chain of Memories. So. You could say high, mid, or low for those, by the way. You could just be like high A, which would be above, etc., etc. A above, B above, KH1, B but higher than COM, A above, above KH1. Mid B, All right. Some of you guys like KH2 story more than KH1, it seems. So I'm gonna put it there. All right. Okay. This is very like weird the way I'm doing this, but after KH2, so let's do birth by sleep. Or it doesn't have to be ordered, but I mean, okay. Well, no, we're not going to order it because it's going to be like we're going to get into semantics too much. But all right, so we're just going to do regular A, B, whatever. All right, so for birth by sleep story. Yeah, I said story, by the way. So birth by sleep story for BBS. Where are you putting it? A lot of S's for BBS story. BBS story is pretty fire. I gotta admit. Okay, I see some A's coming through. A's and B's. More S's. B, D, D. Ooh. Okay, B, S. It's weird between S and B. I just see S and B's. See some A's in there. More S's. Okay. I definitely think I see a decent bit more S's. Just a little bit more S's. So BBS S, according to you guys. All right. I mean, personally, I think BBS's story, it's very arguable for it to, like, I definitely think BBS's story can fight with the number talents quite a bit. Like, it's really, really good. All right, so after BBS, we have Coded. Or Days. Let's do Days. All right. Days story. Days story. Where are you guys putting it? Once again, I gotta emphasize so people don't think I'm talking about gameplay. Days story. The story of Days. Where are you putting it? See some A's. See a lot of S's. Okay, it's definitely a decent amount of A's. Okay, so we'll, it's definitely low S or high A. Alright, so pick between those two, low S or high A. High A meaning it will be above KH2. Low S or high A, because that's where it seems like it's going for some people. Oh man. Dang, this part's split. Okay. I'm gonna put a high A. Put a high A. All right. Recoded. Story-wise, recoded. We need more levels. Nah, there's not enough cage games to justify more levels. D. Yeah, lots of recode. Okay, it's definitely D. Definitely D from the looks of it. For sure. That's kind of funny. Alright. Okay. Dream Drop Distance, story-wise. Story for Dream Drop Distance. Where are you guys putting it? I know this one's gonna be mixed. C, B, B. Alright, so you got a lot of B's. Okay, so B above or B below chain of memories? So high or low B? It's really nice to see how different everyone's opinions are. God, that makes me happy in a way. Yeah, this is a story trail list. This is mixed too. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're just gonna say they're not ordered. We're gonna say they're not ordered in B. All right. So we're gonna do it like that. Chain memories and dream drop are interchangeable. All right. After dream drop, we have. I mean, I guess we could do 0.2. All right. 0.2. Story wise, 0.2. I think 0.2 story is really good. C. Dang. Y'all don't like Aqua. That story is great. C, 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 C. I definitely see a lot of C's. Alright, this might be the first C. Yeah, alright, well, C. Alright. Now, Cage 3. Where are we playing Cage 3, guys? Story for Kingdom Hearts 3. If this was a gameplay trail, it'd be kind of funny. Oh, chat just exploded when I said Cage 3. Now this is about to be super mixed. S, B, S, A, C, hello A, hi B, B, S. Dang, I see 3 different letters in the chat. Why would I put a B without Remind? This is with Remind. I'm basing all of these off of their like peak versions. Yeah, I mean, Cage 3 is definitely the most polarizing Cage game. Alright, so we're going to redo this. We're going to redo this and limit it. That's how we're going to do Cage 3. We're going to limit it down based off of what I see the most. So I see the most of S, A, and B. So between S, A, and B, do that, chat. And then we're going to limit it down to even more depending on how mixed it is. Unless it's just unanimous which one. Because if it's still mixed, we're just going to limit it down even more based off of what I'm seeing more of. So S, A, and B. Pick between those 3. B and A. And I'm looking out for people spamming, by the way. I see a lot of B's. Still see some S's, some A's. Alright. Okay, so it's between B and A. Alright. Between B and A. And you must specify for this one. Between B and A. Well, you don't have to. Okay, between B and A. Between B and A. B, A. Okay, I see a lot of A's now. See lots of A's. Alright. Okay, so for A for Cage 3, this process for Cage 3 is weird because you guys are so mixed. Alright, so for A in Cage 3, is it going at the top of A? Is it going behind A's? Behind Cage 2? Or at the bottom behind Cage 1? Which that's a weird sentence to say. Like most tier lists we have in KH1 like up here and everything else like, but y'all got it here. Y'all crazy. You guys as a group got it there, not individually. As a group, y'all got it there. Top, bottom, behind days. All right. Okay, hold on. We're going to restart this because this is too confusing to look at. Okay, so I'm going to hover KH1 above a spot. All right, I'm going to hover it above a spot. So is Kingdom, and we're just going to do easy yes nos. KH1 above days at the top of A. Yes or no? Story-wise, by the way. Story-wise. Couple yeses. Alright, I definitely think I see mostly no's. Oh, see some yeses coming through. Alright. Still seeing no's. Alright. Okay. Alright, so Kingdom Hearts 3 above Kingdom Hearts 2, yes or no? Yes or no for above Kingdom Hearts 2? KH3 definitely got a better story than KH2 to me, but this is for you guys. I see a little bit more yeses. Definitely like a little mix, but I think I see slightly more no's in the chat. Don't making me cry. No, these yeses coming through though. I'm seeing these yeses come through. Oh, hold up, yo, the yeses are making a comeback. All right, just to be extra sure. All right, let's be extra sure. Okay, because I do think I see more yeses, but I gotta be extra sure. So, Kingdom Hearts 3 behind KH2, above KH1. Kingdom Hearts 3 behind KH2 in terms of story. Yes or no? To do a poll. Fine, I'll do a little straw poll. Straw polls are so tedious to do sometimes. Alright. I'll make a quick straw poll. Alright, there you guys go. There you go, vote on the poll. Let's see this violence commence. Ooh, this is about to get violent. Let's see. Have auto refresh on. I'm going to give this about 3 minutes. pull for the entire list. Nah, just for just to figure out where KH3 goes. I could have done it for the entire list, but the other ones were a lot more majority driven. Like, it was way easier to be like, all right, this goes here based off of you guys. KH3, y'all were hecka divisive. Y'all said, I feel like every other person in the chat said something different. You see how close this is right here already? Okay, but I'm seeing more KH2s come through. KH3 definitely got a better story than 2 to me. KH3 definitely got a way better story than KH2 to me. KH2 story, like, Kingdom Hearts 2 has, like, it's super good though. Like, it's like, as far as video game stories go, it's S tier. But like, compared to 3, Kingdom Hearts 3 has way more like character development, progression, characterization than KH2 does for me. KH2 like has most of that in its ending. KH3 has it a lot more throughout the game for me. Like, it's mostly the Disney Worlds. The Disney Worlds in 2 really hurt the story for me a little bit. And KH3 has that lore that I love about, like, KH. Alright, so it's seeming like KH2. People definitely acted like KH3's story was only the ending. Like, maybe that's all you cared about, but that's not all the story was. Y'all just, if some people don't see, if some people don't see a org member on screen, I literally had like multiple convos about this with people, and like, that's a mindset that exists, and it's a little surprising. Like, a lot of people in the KH community only equate story progression by org character being on screen. There's no character progression Sora can have, no internal discussions or progression with the Disney characters or anything. It's okay, or is org member in Disney World? Okay, it don't matter then. Now that's how, like, that's the viewpoint some people have. Obviously, that's generalized a little bit to make for easier combos. Like, that's not true for everyone individually, but that is a mindset that does exist for some individuals, which is bizarre. Dang, only like that many votes apart. That's interesting. Kind of like what Gage posted in chat. All the Disney Worlds were rushing through and there was no wrap up or true connection for the organization to be there. Definitely don't agree with that at all. Because Sora's character improved like so much in KH3. But I mean, this isn't like a hard so we're gonna put it behind. I don't got a problem with this. This is y'all tier list. This ain't my tier list. This is y'all's. This is y'all group tier list. Y'all put KH1 here though. That's so crazy. Y'all put KH1 here. Oh man. Okay. Now for the one we've did this entire stream for. It took us like what, 30 minutes to get here. All right. For Union Cross. Where's Union Cross story going? Story-wise, again. What tier? Story-wise. We put in Union Cross at. I don't understand how Keyblade Graveyard felt rushed to people, because, okay, for me, I don't know if we played the same game, but, like, after you saved Aqua, like, the whole Keyblade Graveyard segment cutscene wise is long as heck. Like, that entire end game for KH3 took me like 5-6 hours to get through. Like, that was not no quick 2-hour end game segment. That was super long. All the Aqua cutscenes, all the returns. Like, man, there was moments where it felt like the fights were like probably like 2 hours of all of that. Most of that was cutscenes. Definitely didn't feel rushed for me. But that's how most KH endings are. I see a lot of S's for Union Cross. Yo. Lots of S's. You love to see it. Game was slow until Keyblade Graveyard. But like, what were you guys expecting though for an ending? Like, look at like I'm not gonna say like any piece of media. How do I describe it? Most franchises, because there's not too many I can compare KH to, like, except for like stuff like Marvel or like DC or just some franchises like that. But like, as far as long franchises go, when you finish up a arc like that, a lot of your stuff is going to happen at the end. A lot of revelations are going to happen because that's where the conflict's happening. There's only one point in Kingdom Hearts 3 where you're going to see all 13 org members and all 7 Guardians of Light in the same area, and that's what the whole game's built around. So why were people expecting like some crazy amount of story to happen like during the game? Like, it's a climax for a reason. Like, people say that they want orc fights in the Disney World. Why would you spread that out? I don't see that point, because then the Keyblade Graveyard fights would have just felt like you were redoing orc fights. Like, the impact of fighting all those org members at Keyblade Graveyard during the Keyblade Wars, because like that was your first time fighting some of those characters since like Chain of Memories or KH2 in some cases. But if I fight Marluxia in Kingdom of Corona, yeah, it's hype for Kingdom of Corona, but then I re-fight him in Keyblade Graveyard and I'm like, oh, well, I already fought him, so okay. And Josh, thank you so much for the $10 donation. KH2 is the most overrated KH story because Sora's completely out of character, and it's painful to me that so many people like Sora being an overconfident ASS. KH3 has better characterization. I agree with that last part. I don't think KH2 Sora is out of character, though. I wouldn't say that. He's definitely still Sora, because Sora does have that sort of cocky nature to him. But, like, I definitely don't think that's what Sora is. A lot of people, because KH2 is the game that connected with them the most, and hold on, we gotta put Union Cross in S. But a lot of people, since KH2 is the game that connected with them the most, they view Sora as what they saw in KH2, and Sora can only be what he was in KH2. KH2 Sora is like the centerpiece for his character for a lot of people. Like, if everything else doesn't match up with what people saw in KH2 maybe, then it's a little jarring for some people, which I can understand to a certain degree. Because I was like that with KH1 Sora for a decent bit, but I mean, Sora's still Sora in every KH game. He's a little more cocky in KH2. He's a lot more confused throughout Kingdom Hearts 1. He's a lot more emotional throughout Chain of Memories. He's a lot more aware in Kingdom Hearts 3. In Dream Drop Distance, he's something else. And in Recoded, he's a lot more, I guess, content, complacent, but also, like, has that, like, bottled up emotion inside him with, like, what Data Sora does. Like, Sora shows different aspects of his characters throughout all games, so it's hard for me to say that's not Sora, but that's just a aspect of Sora. That's not who Sora necessarily is 100%, as some people think. Personally, I prefer Sora in KH3. I like when people showcase more emotional awareness and can, I guess, relate to people on like a mental level, which is what Sora was doing throughout all of 3 with the Disney girls and the Disney characters and stuff. He was sitting down and actually talking and relating to him. Like, even in Frozen, the one cutscene that is actually really good that I made a whole video about is the Frozen where he's sitting down and talking to Anna about her sister. Sora doesn't do that in other KH games like that. He does not. In other KH games, Sora's like, okay, hold up, is there a Heartless around, a nobody around? Oh, okay, I'm about to go fight it, and you deal with your thing. That's how Sora feels in other KH games. This isn't bad, it's still cool as heck, but in KH3, like, I you can see why I might like it a little bit more. Alright, so Union Cross, back to that. For Union Cross, because I already knew KH3 was going to spark a whole discussion, because that's it's the most polarizing game. I mean, it makes sense why. It's not a bad thing. Well, to a certain degree. But KH3 is that's the game people were looking forward to for, like, most of their life for some people. For Union Cross, is Union Cross at the top of S, above Birth by Sleep, or behind Birth by Sleep? Top or low S? And if you want to say it deserves to go somewhere else, like A, if you think it goes high A or something, tell me. But I mean, that's why I mean kidsies a little bit. It's like I definitely feel like not even a certain degree, to a large degree. I mean, it happens with all stories though, but we if we have discussions about these things for that reason, and that's one of the biggest motivations I have being a content creator, because I just want to show more aspects of Kingdom Hearts for people to love, even if you don't love these same aspects I do. Like, I just like showcasing what makes this series so special and unique, for me at least, and maybe some people can relate, and maybe some people can find something new they never thought they liked about it. Top S, high S, above BBS, behind BBS, above S, S either way, top S, top S. Alright, seems like it's top S. Alright, so a lot of you guys seem to like Union Cross's story. A lot of you guys seem to. Alright, so this is going to be the tier list. I'm gonna snapshot this. This is my chat's tier list for Kingdom Hearts. And we're gonna reset it. I'm gonna post this on Twitter. Alright. Recon, BBS, and KH3 stakes were in pace as well, but the pacing felt more personal with the characters going through things more towards their character, and it reflects onto the pacing. I don't know what you mean by that last part, but I can like, I don't know, I like half agree. I feel like pacing is there's definitely good and bad pacing that exists, but when it comes to media, I do think like I especially realized this with KH3 and Avengers, like being in discussions about Infinity War and Endgame, because there's people that think Endgame was a bad, like had terrible pacing. Like the people, Endgame is like one of the most popular movies of all time, and people love it, love it. So it's not like no KH3 situation necessarily, but there's a lot of people who loved the ending, but you think like, oh man, the movie took like so long to get to that last hour, and they're like, bruh, why that happened? But I'm like, they're wrapping up character arcs, bro. Like what? But that just goes to show a lot of stuff happens in those finales, you know? A lot of stuff happens in those finales, and it's really important for them to take their time with the characters and get their stories out. Because while some people in the chat are saying like, they should have saved Aqua earlier, they should have had org members fight you in Disney Worlds, it would be way worse in the long run if you did not finish some of these characters' arc, if you did not create like a line or like a pathway for these characters to explore and express some of their emotions, some of their hardships that happened throughout the other games. It would have been way worse if Xion, Roxas, Axel returned in Kingdom Hearts 3. Still would have been cool. It would have been a really cool scene still, and people would have got hyped and everything, but it would have been not as impactful of a scene without those cutscenes you saw at the end of Dream Drop, without those cutscenes you saw during Kingdom Hearts 3 leading you to that point. The most of the Disney World stuff, the main plot it progressed were 2 to 3 things. It mostly was progressing the plot of Sora and the 3 hearts within him. That was a very big plot point in Kingdom Hearts 3. Like in almost every Disney World, there is some sort of progression with Sora's connection with Roxas, Sora finding out about Ventus in Monstropolis. And we didn't get too much about Xion, but Sora even finding out about the mystery that was Xion. Throughout like the first quarter of the game, he assumed that the person they were talking about at first was straight up just Roxas, even though it was Ventus who shared like half a heart with Sora. So it's like it was about progressing Sora to that point instead of it just happening randomly. Like, oh yeah, I was in your heart all along, Sora. You didn't know it, but I was with you since the beginning, bro. Oh yo, Roxas, where you come from? Hey man, I've been with you since days. Wait, I didn't know that, bro. That's crazy. But no, Sora knows that, so he's able to help and progress the situation because of what we saw during the Disney Worlds, in between cutscenes in the Disney Worlds. It's weird. It's very weird. But a lot of people, the only part for them that matters, that they care about, the only part that even affected the game is, oh, Roxas returned. How did he return? Oh, I don't care. What built up to his return? Oh, whatever. He returned. That's all that matters. That only happened at the end of the game, though. Dang, bro. What happened? Nothing happened during, like, beforehand. But literally everything that happened beforehand was building up to those moments. So it's a little weird. That's my perspective, though. Honestly, I wish Sora remembers seeing Xion in the dream he had and the world never was. That would have been cool, for sure, I think. Like, I do think Naminé could have been a little... I do think Xion, my bad. I do think Xion could have been a little bit, like, better in terms of, how her return was for, like, the viewer, because they did make that a little bit confusing, because they just happened to have a replica, they just happened to have her data and stuff saved over. They explained it a bit in Remind, but it did feel a little bit spontaneous. Like, we all knew Xion was going to return, and her return was still great, but, like, her return was a little, slightly, not enough to really make a convo about, or for me to, like, complain about long term, but slightly tainted her return, because it's like it makes you question how a little bit. With Roxas, the how was explained throughout the whole game, and they even further explain it more in the Ultimania, which helps you. But most of it, you don't even need the Ultimania for it. You can understand how Roxas returned in the game. They had a vessel for him. Sora knew his heart was there, and he just returned at the perfect moment. With Xion, I mean, you can make sense of it slightly. Like, she had a replica for the She had the replica from the organization. We knew the organization was using replicas for some of their hearts. Xion being one of those replicas. The convenience of Xion returning is a lot more of a discussion rather than the return itself, because you knew the replicas existed. You knew Xion had a heart. You knew Xion had a heart that was inside of Sora's. And it makes sense that when confronted, well, by some of her friends, that her heart would kind of sing a little bit. Her heart would kind of return in that sort of situation. But yeah, like, the return of her member, like, it still made for a heartfelt scene. Like, I don't think it was super bad or anything, but it could have been better for sure. Like, Xion's return. I definitely wish Master Xander had more screen time in KH3. You can explain KH2 without mentioning Disney, which is why I think KH3 had better pacing. I think, really, when I first played KH3, I immediately thought that it had the best pacing in the series. Straight up, that was a thought that came across my mind while I was playing the game. When I got to Monstropolis and in Arendelle, I was saying, like, bro, this pacing is even so good. I feel like I'm getting story, like, every time after every Disney World, even during the Disney Worlds. They nicely involved Disney Worlds in the plot, because I remember that being a big discussion that we had before 3 came out. And I was sitting there playing, and I was like, yo, they're actually doing it. This game is crazy. I love it. Then I go on Twitter, and I see all these different takes, and I'm like, what? Like, yeah, a lot did happen at the end. Like, a lot of major stuff happened at the end. But stuff, that doesn't mean stuff didn't happen. It's a finale. Like, I don't know. Like, think about what Marvel. Like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe had the luxury, the finances of being able to make 2 Avengers movies back to back within a year apart of each other. And Endgame and Infinity War combined is probably the amount of time that that the ending of KH3 will take you. Endgame is 3 hours, Infinity War is like 2 hours and some change, I think, right? And if you take away credits, it would be closer to 5 hours. So Endgame and Infinity War are about just as long as it will take you to watch like the entire ending sequence of KH3, from saving Aqua all the way to the credits of Keyblade Graveyard. I feel like that's how long that would take you combining fights and cutscenes. So like, with that being said, like, what did Marvel do? They had tons of movies before Endgame building up to that point. Not everyone was already super into Thanos, and everyone wanted to see him super battle, and they very nicely told that story leading up to that point. But Kingdom Hearts isn't a movie, it's a video game. In a video game, you're gonna play through the Disney worlds and get some of that story through that. But a lot of stuff is gonna happen at the end, similar to how a lot of things happen at the end of Endgame or end of Infinity War. Things really started like going crazy. Especially in Infinity War, things were happening a lot throughout. In Endgame, a lot of things happen at the end. But they very nicely built up to that ending with them, you know, I don't know, are Endgame spoilers allowed? Like, I openly talk about them most of the time, but like, I don't know, but still, they built up to all of those characters returning. That's what the whole first 2 hours of the movie was about. You know what, that's actually what KH did. Literally what Roxas, Xion, and Ventus, they were just building up to their returns. They were building up to Aqua's return, not what happened in the ending. At the ending of Endgame, when everyone came through those big portals, imagine that, take the place of that and imagine that for Kingdom Hearts. All that build up leading to that moment, to them snapping everybody back into existence, that's literally what Kingdom Hearts does with Sora slowly finding out about Roxas, or slowly trying to figure out ways to bring Roxas' heart back, talking to Ienzo, finding out about Ventus, the power of waking, and them saving Aqua in the realm of darkness, then getting Ventus. All of that build up for the final battle. That's literally what Endgame did in the 2 hours of his movies. But for Endgame, it's 2 hours because it's a movie. For Kingdom Hearts, it's 25 hours because it's a video game. That's how they are, you know. Does that make sense at all? For pacing, but yeah, pacing, like, it's up to what you value pacing, what you value some stuff for. Like, I can see at a surface level why someone would say KH3's pacing is like mediocre, bad, mid, whatever. I can see why. I do understand, because for people who aren't as into the characters, aren't as into Sora, aren't as into like some of the Disney stuff, like that's not what you like KH for. You mostly like the cool fights, the crazy huge lore reveals that happen at the end of like these games. You feel like nothing happened in the end because like for you don't care about how emotionally aware Sora is in this scenario. You don't care about what these Disney characters are going through and how they affect like the rest of the plot. For you, all you care about is, okay, I want to fight some org members, I want to defeat Xehanort, I want to see the 7 Guardians versus 13 Darkness. I don't care about anything in between. So I get why it's like that for a lot of people, because a lot of people are playing KH3 like that. But so for you, that it might be like bad pacing. For me, it feels great, because it's like, as someone who pays attention to like so many of those little details, or I don't even know if that's the right term to put it. Just as someone who, like, I guess I go crazy over little details. I go crazy over little details even more so than I may go crazy over like the actual big ending scene or something. For me, KH3's pacing was great because Sora was constantly talking about events happening in the story, Roxas, Ventus, and there was so much imagery with like characters. Like, remember when Sora kind of like he was connecting with Roxas, sort of, when he was sitting on the when he was sitting on the bridge, my bad, in Big Hero 6, and he was and it reminded him of like the scenery of the sunset and stuff. It reminded him, or it reminded Roxas of what it was like being eating ice cream with Shion and Axel. Like little scenes like that, those things are progression for me. That is good pacing for me. Some people, I don't care about that. I already know Roxas is inside the store. Why should I care about this scene? So I don't know. It's how you weigh stories. I definitely do experience stories more emotionally compared to like whatever the alternative is, I guess. Like I prefer more emotional experiences with my stories nowadays. So like a little stuff like that, little characterization, that will make an entire game for me. Compared to just if someone is just I don't know, like, oh, yo, you killed my brother, bro. All right, I'm gonna kill you and your whole family or something. I don't know. Like I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna get my revenge. Like generic type stories like that, which can be cool, very cool. Like you could have a story like that with some like with millions of dollars worth of budgeting and animation, like, and music like that. That generic story archetype can turn from okay, bro, I've seen this story 1,000 times to yo, bro, he's about to get his revenge finally. Oh my gosh, I can't believe what he did to his family. Like it gets you more immersed, and that's the job of the writers, the development team, to get you more immersed into your story, even if your story isn't necessarily the most unique thing on the planet, or isn't necessarily the craziest thing of all time. But for me, I even if the story has like some crazy animation, it may help, it may make me like it more, but it's not going to carry it for me. It won't. So I don't know. I've over time have gravitated towards more like emotional type of media, and I think a big reason for that is because of Kingdom Hearts as of late, because of things like BoJack Horseman that I loved. Things like Avatar, which has a very simple story at a surface level, but the characters go like so in depth, and the characters are like really easy to understand, but at the same time there's plenty of characterization going on. Like the entire story of Avatar is for Aang to master the 4 elements to defeat the Fire Lord. If they wanted to be lazy, they really could have made him master all the elements like in the beginning. You know, they could have did what they did with Korra. I love Korra. Do not mix what I'm saying. I love Korra. I love Korra just as much as The Last Airbender. But these are like the 2 different types of routes you can go with storytelling. They could have went a route where Aang had all the elements learned, and in between he's just, I don't know, he's not doing, he's just talking to people, doing normal stuff. Actually, let me restart that. Okay, so they could go, Aang and Korra's story are very different, but very good in different ways. On Aang's end, Aang being as young as he is, Korra being young too, and she's learned all the elements, but Aang being in the position he was in, he ran away from his Avatar responsibilities. He had to learn all 4 elements throughout the different books to defeat the Fire Lord, to end this war, to end this suffering from so many people. Throughout that, through a lot of the time, he had to, like, no one knew the Avatar was around, so he had to go around and search for trainers, for one, search for people who could teach him these elements, while also in between, while he was learning these different elements, he was making friends, he was learning about people's lives, he was learning about, like, he was learning about the responsibility, the burden he had, and the show constantly was talking about that burden that he had. Honestly, when you look at it, they showed a couple of scenes of Aang learning, like, how to do, like, his water bending, how to do his earth bending, his fire bending even, but you like, shoot, at most, you would maybe have one full episode of Aang, like, practicing the element. Everything in between was just character stuff, and him slowly in the background learning how to, like, fire bend, how to water bend, and then at the end of the season, okay, well, he's mastered the element now over time. But in between, like the water, like him learning water bending, him learning earth bending, he's slowly making like really close friends, like ride or die friends, and he's interacting with these people who hate him, who hate the Avatar because he ran away when everyone else was suffering. Some people who love the Avatar and like, yo, save us, bro, thank you, I'm glad you're back. And you see a lot of different perspectives. In Korra, they take a different approach, a way different approach. Instead of covering the surface level responsibilities of the Avatar, I'm not saying Aang's responsibilities were surface level, but you could easily sum up what Aang's supposed to do in like a sentence. Master the 4 elements, defeat the Fire Lord. That's the objective. In Korra, you don't have anything like that. You have nothing like that. The only thing Korra knows about being the Avatar is the Avatar is supposed to bring balance to the world. I mean, the world's kind of cool right now, so what am I supposed to do? What am I doing here? So Korra, she's mastered all the elements except airbending. But she knows all the elements like after season 1. Korra's dealing with the more modern responsibility of what an Avatar would be like. Gives you a perspective. What would an Avatar look like in our day and age? They probably wouldn't be. That's my parents talking in the background. That's my dad talking in the background. But Korra has to deal with the more political side of being an Avatar. She, on top of like who the already political figures you have, Korra has to deal with, okay, if I beat these guys up on the street, even though I'm able to, I'm not a cop technically, so I can get arrested for that. I can get charged for like assault or be arrested. I'm in this position where like I'm like a teenager, I got all this power, I can do all these things, but am I allowed to do them? Do I hinder the people who are already doing these things, or do I just sit back? So she's kind of trying to find her place in a world where she has all this power, where she's able to literally change the world from front and back, inside out, like she did with the spirits. But she's also just, a normal girl. She has to fall. Because she needs to still be like the Avatar. Like the Avatar's supposed to be, a good figure, right? And like bring balance to the world, not cause imbalance or whatever. She has all this power and she can fix all these situations if she wants to, or she can attempt to, but would her trying to fix these situations hinder other people's lives? How does this affect other people's lives if I do this and that? Everyone in the last Airbender, even though a lot of them had their personal troubles going on, because it was like a more it was an older society, so it wasn't as complex as like politics or like the automobile industry booming and stuff, all this technology. In a lot of cases in the last Airbender, like a lot of the situations Aang would have to deal with as far as like depth would go would be, man, I need food to eat, or like they're worrying about like the essentials, like, okay, I need food, I need clothes, my kids are about to die, help my kids please, stop, free my village from this tyranny of like firebenders. While in Korra, or like, well, hold on, let me go back. Like in that, like a lot of people, everyone, even the people with the very surface level, I guess, or with the very like, I guess, relatively simple problems that Aang has to deal with, they all have one common wish, bro. Fire Lord, you gotta go, bro. So that one thing unites everyone. Even I'm saying NPCs, like even the side characters unites everybody. But in Korra, I mean, there's no firebenders messing with stuff. I mean, you got Amon, but some people agree with that man. I mean, that man's kind of spitting. But like when he's saying benders are kind of like, I don't know, benders are like messing up everything. They think they're above everyone. Like some people do feel that way. Non-benders probably feel that way, right? So he's a little justified. And he's a little justified in some of his beliefs to a certain extent, because some benders are like that. Korra, there's no real like easy solution to that. She has to figure out, okay, do I, even though I'm a bender and I feel like he's just attacking me for being a bender, I can't control whether or not I'm a bender or not. I mean, he can, but like I don't want that to happen. I want to still be a bender. So like, do I beat him up, or do I like agree with him, talk with him? Like, what do I do here? So it's a lot more. It's a little complex. But like, I don't know. I went on that big rambling session to just say like, stories are very different for different people. Like, a lot of people don't like Korra because it's a little bit more political, because it deals with a lot more like semantics of being an avatar compared to Aang's very easy to grasp motivation, which everything else, since you have that one thing, it's easier to get invested in the side stuff. But in Korra, you're trying to figure out what the main plot even is. Like in Korra, instead of one big overarching story, it feels like a bunch of like arcs, like an anime, which is not bad. It's just different, and it's still very good. And those plots do connect in various ways, but stories are different though. And same thing goes for Cage. Cage does a lot of different things with its story, and you see that with Union Cross. You see that a lot with Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Uncle, I had a lot of fun talking about Avatar, and yeah, I could definitely make a lot of like videos talking about Avatar if I really wanted to. I love Korra through and through. I think Kingdom Hearts wanted some good pacing. I think what KH game has bad pacing in my opinion. Maybe Chain of Memories, but I don't even think I'd say Chain of Memories as Riku might have some mediocre pacing. As Riku, Chain of Memories has mediocre pacing, but it's not like bad. I don't know, mediocre. Nah, 358's pacing is great. 358's pacing is actually ruined by the movies to a large degree, in my opinion. That's an interesting discussion to have though, DJ, because it's like, I don't think that just because the story is like messier that it means it's like bad. It depends on the context you're using messier in. Like, is it messier in like a way as in it's not as simplistic, or is it messier in a way as in nothing makes sense? Everything in Korra makes sense. Like, everything in Korra makes a lot of sense, and it even makes sense if you like connect the lore from The Last Airbender to Korra. But it is messier, as in like, that's how politics are. Politics are very, very messy. Discussions on stuff like that are very, very messy. So they tackled a really brave topic very, very well. The Last Airbender, though, I don't think I would say, I wouldn't say The Last Airbender is better because it's simpler, if that makes sense. I wouldn't say it's better because it's more simple. I would say it's better because, like, okay, the characters in Last Airbender are a little bit better, which I do think they are. I think Team Avatar in The Last Airbender feels a lot more like a team, and like they feel like they're a lot more, even though they have their differences, at the end of it all, they're all there for each other, and they're all here on this adventure, even though they're kids and they have a lot of drama between them, like Aang liking Sokka's sister, Zuko trying to find his place in the group after chasing them down for like seasons and seasons. With Korra, I mean, I don't even know if I want to call them a team Avatar, really. They're more like they're just friends. Like, and the characters aren't as interesting. Like, a lot of people end up hating Mako because Mako's a very hard character to get behind, because that character is the definition of just like, yo, How do I mess up as many relationships as I possibly can? But Lynn is just in the middle, feeling neglected, like, dang, bro. All my friends are arguing. I'm trying to line them up. Why am I here by myself? So he just goes on and does his own thing at certain points and gets his little character arc, lava bending and whatnot. But they still feel like less of a team. That team dynamic isn't there for me. But I wouldn't say that like the Last Airbender is better just because it's simpler or less messy. Long theory. Do I put in the main chat or Union Cross discussion? I don't care. You can put whatever. 3 and 4 of Korra was good because they listened to criticism and brought back elements of the Last Airbender storytelling. Yeah, a little bit. A lot of people love season 3. Season 4, I just love Quivira. Quivira is just great. I think it ended a little weird, but like I overall think like that was a really well told story. If you think it's worth playing Union Cross, I'm curious about the gameplay. No, because the story's going to end. The game, Neo, is going to be shutting down very, very soon. The game is going to be shutting down. It's going to be turning into a theater mode only app. It's going to be turning into a theater mode only app, so you'll be able to experience all the story via theater mode. You over the old man was old Ephemer? I don't think so. The timelines don't match up. Cause like Xehanort has to be born after Brain, right? If Ericus and Brain are still related, so that would make Ephemer like 200 years old at that point, or like close to. I was referring more so to how the stories were told, which I don't think Korra handled as well until the second half of the show. Granted, the first few seasons did have production issues due to Nick. I love season 1 of Korra personally. I even love season 2. I thought that was pretty good. I do think the villain season 2 was a little wonky for sure. But I love the Avatar wand stuff. That's probably some of my favorite things in Avatar, period. And I love the way season 2 ended, but it did start off very shaky. Season 3 and 4 though, very good. How well do you think the Cage cast will interact with the cast of Avatar: The Last Airbender? I think they would interact pretty well, actually. Sora may be a little too broken, though, because Sora would, like, actually demolish the Fire Lord. Because Avatar characters are not that powerful, like, by them, like, compared to other fictional characters. Like, Kingdom Hearts characters are, like, super broken. Super duper broken. Because Keyblades are just dumb. They're very dumb. Not dumb literally. Dumb as in, like, they're just dumb powerful. I actually wouldn't want an MMO of Union Cross. Like, I don't think that would be, like, the best option they could go with. But Warpaint, though. Why are we assuming that Ephemer and Brain are in the same worlds though? So that point you made wouldn't even matter. Brain and Ephemer are in the same worlds at that point. They're both in Scala. We see old man Ephemer quote that, as you guys are saying, in Scala. And Ephemer is seemingly dead. Like they're able to somehow confirm he's dead. They said he was the master. But we'll see. They could confirm or deny it. Because you don't know how old Cage characters get. I definitely think Strelitzia gets recompleted at some point. Wasn't Xehanort 99 in KH3? I think he's like 80. I'm pretty sure Xehanort's like 80. Who's the true dandelion? I got no idea. I got zero idea. Yeah, he'd probably be like 90 in KH3. Cause I forget if they specify if he was 80 in BBS or if he was 80 in like. Hold on, let me look that up actually. It said Master Xehanort's in his mid 80s in Birth by Sleep. Yeah, so he's like going on 90. Age wise, though, remember that man Xehanort was in Terra's body for years, and Master Xehanort didn't return until the end of Dream Drop. So it's a very, very important thing to keep in mind. Which voice do I like better, Sora or Ephemer's? We've heard two lines. We've heard like maybe like 2 lines plus the ones from back cover from Ephemer in the entire series. So I'm gonna say Sora. I'm gonna say Sora. But Warpaint Scala was built on top of water. And that's under the assumption that Destiny Island's time moves slower. Which in that case, even with that in mind, Ephemer, we can assume that Ephemer grew old and died by the time Brain arrives at Skylight Kyle, which is why Ephemer didn't meet him there himself. And since Ericus would be Ericus's since Brain would be Ericus's grandfather, that would mean Brain would be considerably old himself to the point where he had a kid who had Ericus. So I don't know, like assuming Brain is like above 60 years old, that will put another 60-year gap on top of when Ephemer potentially already died, which would, let's assume Ephemer died in his like 80s or something, because I don't know, let's just assume 80 in his 80s. So you're already like well over 100 years. And so by the time we can assume Ericus and Xehanort were born relatively around the same time, or that maybe Xehanort was even born first. Which, if that's the case, you're still well over 100 years since Ephemer. You're still well over 100 years of Scala being around. So Ephemer should have been gone. Like 60 years between Ephemer's death. So old man Ephemer taking Xehanort would just be a little bizarre, because it would make a lot more sense if that was this Lushu in a old semblance. Which would make that a little less convoluted. Because I'm just going off of time frames here. Yes, worlds do run on different time at the moment, because I know they said that in Dark Road, but Brain, I don't think Brain would have a reason to live outside of Scala after arriving there at the end of Union Cross. So we can assume that he ages normally, and that Ephemer has been dead, and by the time Xehanort is born, Brain's already old. So that's like 2 generations have basically passed since like Xehanort's born. 2 generations of Keyblade wielders. And then Sigurd is Lushu body hopping, probably, but I don't know. Definitely think the book helped build Scala, because they literally say in the secret reports that Scala will guide the new world, or something along those lines. But yeah, Disney characters are immortal in Kingdom Hearts canonically, which is funny. Yeah, that'd be a funny video actually. Disney characters are canonically immortal. Does the master know about Scala? I would assume so. Why do I think people believe the master is Sora? Because they want Sora to be super almighty and powerful. I don't know, that's the reason, I think. But I made a whole video about it though, going more in depth. Mickey lived over 100 years by now. Probably. Boy, Mickey old. Disney character's immortal. I mean, he's about to be 100 in like 10 years. What do I think about this? Brain, Briggs, Zigbar. Probably. I mean, I can't really dispute it necessarily because I don't have enough info to, but I can't confirm it either. I think like I definitely think it's possible. Who would be the old man who took Xehanort to Destiny Islands? Could be Lushu. That's what I'm thinking, but I mean, I don't even know, man. Not like they keep making new characters in Cage. It's wild. What do you think about Xehanort equals player thing? Oh, I'm fine with it. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. Oh, you know what? I didn't show you guys my story tier list. We're going to do that in a minute, but after I show a little bit. So, if you guys are enjoying today's live stream, there's two things you guys should do. You guys should hit that like button. We've had consistently over 100 people in this stream. We could easily get to 100 likes. Come on. It's easy. Easy. Everyone in the live stream, hit that like button right now. We will probably reach it. On top of that, hit the subscribe button. I know some of you out there are lurking. Which is perfectly fine. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button on your way out the door. And third and final thing, just a small thing. If you guys want to go the extra mile to support, I would really appreciate if anyone wanted to become a member. Our current member goal is 40, so 8 more members, and we'll reach 40 members. Members is going to be something I consistently advertise a lot on the channel, and the more and more I discuss it, the more and more I'm thinking that comic regarding Nara is probably going to be member exclusive for like a certain amount of time. So look forward to that. And yo, Josh, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I just thought about something. Well, if the Dark Inferno we find KH3's Keyblade Graveyard was born from Ephemer's guilt and sadness over the player. That is something interesting to think about, and definitely adds some extra layers. I don't know if he'd have that much sadness and guilt though after all of that, but it could be possible. I could definitely see it. Like that would be a very dark story trope that I could really see happening. Alright, so here's my Kingdom Hearts story tier list. This is going to be really hard for me. I'll say what's ordered and not ordered. Alright, so for starters, KH3 story is S tier. I'm actually going to turn off the music for this one. But KH3 story is S tier. Easy. After KH3 story, I'm going to put KH1 story in S tier. I'm going to put BBS behind KH1. I'm going to put Dream Drop. My favorite part of Dream Drop story is its ending. So we'll save that a little bit. I'm going to put KH2 story in A tier. I'm going to put Dream Drop story behind KH2's. Do I like Day's story more than Birth by Sleep's? Overall, I like the characterization of it. Do I like the story more? Do I like it more than KH1? Ooh, that's hard. Nah, I don't think I do. Okay. So there we go. 3, 1, Days. Days and BBS are kind of interchangeable. I definitely like BBS's story more than 2's nowadays. I love 2's ending, however, but BBS's story has grown on me. I don't know. Okay, no, I'm gonna say, I don't know. 2 and BBS might be tied. Because every time I think about KH2's ending, I'm like, ooh, bro. That ending was so nice and cozy. I loved it, but then I think of BBS, and I'm like, bro, this story sparked so many things I loved of KH. So, it's weird. It's just weird. 0.2. 0.2, I mean, 0.2 is part of BBS's story to me, but by itself, it can go and be Chain of Memories. Now, what do I like better, Chain of Memories or Dream Drop story? Right now, this might change when I replay Dream Drop. After Recoded. This might change when I replay Dream Drop. But right now, because I have not played Dream Drop, I have not done a full story playthrough of Dream Drop in like almost 2 years. Right now, I like Chain of Memories story more than Dream Drops. So we're going to put that there. Now, for Recoded. I can judge Recoded story. Not fully because I haven't played the game, but I know the story of it from the movie. And unless Recoded pulls at Days, because Days' story is way better in the game than it is in the movie. Recoded story overall, even though it has some good characterization, it'll go below 0.2. Union Cross. Ooh. Ooh, man. Do I like Union Cross's story more than Birth by Sleep right now? Yes, I do. Do I like it more than Days right now? Whew. That's the hard one. Man. I gotta think about it from beginning to end. Okay. Alright guys, do I review Union Cross's story by itself, or do I include key back cover and like browser in this? Do I judge it by itself? Decide for me if I judge it by itself or not. If I judge it with back cover and the browser story. Key and back cover count as part of this. All right, so just all of key. Okay, all of it. Yeah, I like it more than Days. All of it, I like it more than Days. Oh, but Shion, man, Shion and Roxas are so cool in that game. Because every time I think about like the thing that makes it hard to pull over Days is Shion. Shion in this game is so good, and Roxas is so good in this game too. Okay, well we'll do it. We'll bite the bullet though. We'll bite the bullet though. Days story's still S tier though, still S tier, but I like it more than KH1 right now though. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. I'm thinking about a lot of scenes right now. I'm not gonna lie. I think Union. Okay, if it wasn't for Union Cross's ending, okay, that's my decision. Okay, KH1 and Union Cross are tied. That's gonna be mine. All right, KH1 and Union Cross are tied. That's gonna be mine. All right, guys. Rate this tier list out of 10. I want to go ahead. Rip me a new one. It don't matter. Rate this tier list out of 10. What's the worst thing about this tier list? This will be mine. And yes, this is ordered. I would say this is ordered, but KH1 and Union Cross are tied, and BBS and KH2. I'd say BBS gets a slight edge over KH2, slight, but they're mostly tied. Am I including Dark Road? It's not done yet, so nah. If I did include Dark Road, though, I'd put it, like, next to 0.2. Like, probably, like, above Recode and next to 0.2. KH2 in the same tier as Dream Drop Distance. I mean, KH2's story is good. The ending really makes KH2's story great. But KH2 doesn't have as much of that lore that like some of the other KH games be offering me. Like, there's like some tiny cutscenes we reference back to KH2 for, but like in a lot of scenarios, like the games that get referenced back to the most in terms of like reveals are KH1, now 3. Well, no, it will be KH1, Dream Drop, and BBS. Those games get referenced the most when it comes to new story content. KH2 feels like you know what? KH2 might feel like the most standalone KH game when I think about it. It might be up there for one of the most standalone KH games, which you do have to applaud it for that though. But it's like there's something about the story that's really good, but like it doesn't have the same energy that like other game that like the other games give for me, and I prefer the game's energy. The other game's energy. You guys can ask me any questions about my tier list. Like, ask me any questions about like how I feel about this game or whatever. I respect that word paint. For me though, like what makes a good story isn't just how it progresses, quote the major plot, because it's like, I mean, while of course I would love for my stories to go in like a line and like constantly be moving forward with every event, and that does feel good. I I don't mind if like a story goes like up every once in a while just to explain a side story of a character, or goes diagonally a little bit like this. I don't mind that because like for days, I guess it's a really good story about like Roxas and Shiana. It makes their characters significantly better, and it makes other stories even better, like KH3's, because whenever you look at the Days Trio returning, you think about everything they went through in this game. Without this game, the Days Trio returning would not have hit as hard. It would not have had the same long lasting effect that it does. It would have been, you only really would have been able to relate it to KH2. You'd be like, who the heck is Xion? Why is she here? I don't care about Xion. You would see some scenes from like Dream Job and be like, oh, I remember that character, but it wouldn't hit because you didn't see. Days showed you that friendship they had. So it's like, I still put an S for the story. Like, even though KH2 progresses it, I think Days, I like the characterization of it a lot. And for me personally, I prioritize stuff like that over like even like moving the story forward. So like I said in my video today, honestly, I would love if we got a Union Cross remake before we even got KH4. Personally, like I would not mind it if they instead of releasing KH4 or Verum Rex next year, we got a Union Cross remake. I'd prefer that. I would take that as next year's KH game. I would love that because it would characterize the Union leaders more. It would characterize the player more potentially. It would characterize the Master, Lushu, Ava, all the cutscenes we saw. It would do wonders for all of those characters and would just benefit all of these games even more. So that's just how I am with stories though. Alright, let me look at some other people's questions. You don't think KH2 story is that good? I see that opinion a lot. I still disagree with it. Even though I have KH2 lower, like I love KH2. That game is what that KH2 is still my second favorite game of all time. It's my second favorite video game on the planet. It's KH3 beats it by a decent bit, but not by like that much. Like they're still like right next to each other. KH3's a 11 out of 10. KH2's a 10, I guess. I don't know. Like that's how close they are, I guess. But I do there's like slight aspects I prefer about like BBS, Days, Union Cross 1 over KH2 story wise. And like thematically they're a lot like cooler as well. But I love 2 story. Like if I had to rate KH2 story out of 10, like on a video game, okay, hold on. Let's do it like this. Okay, let's put this in perspective. The only reason anything on this tier list is in B tier or A tier is because it's a KH tier list. If this was a video game tier list, most of these would be an S or like high A, because I genuinely do like every game. KH2. Hold on, let me rate all. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a perspective here. If I had to rate all of these stories out of 10, just right now, right, subject to change completely, just all of these stories out of 10, KH3 would be a 10, KH1 would be a 10, Union Cross would be a 10, Days would be a 10, BBS would probably be a 10, KH2 would be like a 10 or a 9.5. Chain of Memories would be like a 9 or 8.5. Dream Drop would be like a 8. I'd say story wise, 8.5. 0.2, it's hard. 0.2 by itself, I think, is a great story. I'd give as an Aqua story, it would get a 10 for me, but like it's super short, so the other games get put higher just because they have more. Just because they have more. If 0.2 had more, it would be up there, but we're not going to rate 0.2. We're just not going to rate 0.2. Coded, off of the movie, I'd give it like a 7, 6. That'd probably be the lowest one. But that would probably be my listing for like a lot of Cage stories. I honestly think they need to remake Kingdom Cross at this point. Having all that lore and backstory locked to a mobile game is a good way for people to skip over it, only to be confused later. Yeah, because with how essential Kingdom Cross is probably going to be for Phase 2, it would be terrible if they have to recommend people, oh, hey, before you play Kingdom Hearts Verum Rex or before you play KH4, make sure you guys download our mobile app and watch Union Cross for 7 hours. I'm like, really? I think Square knows that too, so they're probably gonna remake it, remaster it, something. Do I think Union Cross will go up or down with time? Probably up. The way Kingdom Hearts story works, Kingdom Hearts story only gets better when they add more things to it for me. Like when they add deeper layers to it, it just gets better and better and better. Yeah, 0.2 didn't affect the series story too much, but it did affect your perspective on KH1 a bit, but it mostly affects Aqua. So if in a way it affects the story because it affects Aqua's character, a very important character, but it doesn't affect like any super duper major plot. But my argument to that is that science doesn't really matter because it's like you could say it doesn't affect the series story that much, but it's like Kingdom Hearts is a story about characters, about light, about darkness, and the aspects of light and darkness are very character oriented, tied specifically to characters. So like, I don't know. If something affects the characters that much, it affects the story. It affects the story because it affects the experience. That's how I view it, at least. But at a surface level, yes. What if Ventus woke up early? What if? I don't know. I don't know how that would have even happened. So it's hard to speculate on that. I love the Cage franchise, but most games wouldn't be in my top 10. Some may not be in my top 20. I respect it. I've met some friends like that. I have Cage as like one of their favorite franchises, but the games aren't like one of their favorites. For me, it's both. It is my favorite franchise, and I probably have multiple games in my top 10. Like my top 3 video games in general are all Cage games. My top 3 is Cage 3, Cage 2, Cage 1. After Cage 1 would finally be a non-Cage game. It might be like Octopath or like a Jack and Daxter or something. Cage is just above like a lot of franchises for me. This is genuinely how it is. What's the game that got you really invested in the Cage story? You guys might be surprised. Okay. 2 games are responsible for this. Okay, I'll give you all the points. All right. So obviously, I played KH1's story and I loved it. I straight up did cry at the end of KH1's ending. Like, that game's ending was so beautiful. It's also because it took me so long to beat Kingdom Hearts 1 as a kid because I kept losing my memory card. So when I finally beat the game, it was a mixture of, yes, I finally beat it, and oh my gosh, this is so sad. What's going on? What is this music? Why am I getting this emotional reaction out of this? But I was content with KH1's ending. I didn't know anything else happened. I didn't know there was a future for KH for years. Then I found games like BBS. I found BBS specifically. I eventually found out Cage 2 days and stuff existed, but around the time BBS came out was when I started getting back into Kingdom Hearts heavily. And I had BBS on PSP. Birth by Sleep. When Ansem recited those lines, or when Terranort recited those lines from Cage 1, I went crazy. I was like, wait, there's no way. I felt like I had like one of those goosebump moments where like, yo, that was an insane plot twist. I mean, it was a plot twist for me because I didn't know. I wasn't an expert at Cage lore or anything, but for me, I was like, yo, they did that? That is insane. He's the start of it all. I was like, Terra's the start of Ansem and Xemnas and stuff. I was going nuts. Then that got me interested. That's what made me go like, okay, I'm a Cage fan now. I'm a big Cage fan. But what made me go theory crazy, and go deeper than I ever thought I would before was Dream Drop's ending. Dream Drop's ending was very crazy for me. I actually loved Dream Drop a lot when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite games. But Dream Drop, oh, dude, it took me so long to beat because I kept having 3DS issues. Like, my right camera button wasn't working, so I could only turn the camera left, which was super annoying. So I had to borrow my friend's DS to beat the game. But Dream Drop's ending, when I saw Xehanort in that chair, Master Xehanort from BBS, and saw all these other org members that we fought in the past, like, I saw Ansem, I saw Xemnas, I saw Xigbar being like, yo, I'm already half Xehanort. I'm like, yo, what is going on? This ending is crazy. Wait, time travel? I wasn't mad at it. I mean, some people hate time travel when, some people hated time travel growing up or don't like that trope in general. I don't care about time travel like that. I mean, at the time at least, I was like, yo, I thought it was smart. I took it as smart. I didn't take it as, oh my gosh, it's about to get convoluted and hard to process. I was just sitting there like, yo, time travel, bro? Hold on. How you time traveled? Yo, you're broken. You're crazy. But then I saw Xehanort give that little speech to Mickey and Riku, and he was like, all right, we'll finish this at the fated place when your 7 lights fight my 13 darknesses. I was like, yo, that is a setup. That is a crazy setup. And I was sitting there thinking like, yo, this means Cage 3 is coming. And that's what started the Cage 3 train for me. I was like, whoa, this is wild. That's when I started going theory crazy. That's when I started getting into Cage on YouTube because shortly after that 1.5 started coming out and 2.5, and I was just we were going nuts. You guys probably don't know, but I've actually been around. Okay, I've been on YouTube since 2.5 came out. Like, when 2.5 was announced, or when it was getting ready to release, that's around the time I started making videos. I've been making videos since September of 2014. I was 13. I had just turned 13 when I made this YouTube channel. There's a lot of cringy videos in the past. Lots of cringe and weird Prodigy who's trying to pretend to be a bigger YouTuber or something, because I looked up to those people. But modern Prodigy is a lot more just, I don't know, just himself, I guess. I ain't trying to be like nobody. I'm just trying to be me. And me is I just show Cage. That's just how I am when it comes to Kingdom Hearts, at least. We just show the series. Cage 3 made me realize that a lot too. Like, when I beat Cage 3 and I saw the discourse, I had like a moment where I was just like, man, I just want to talk about how fun this game was. Like, that's all I want to talk about. And after Cage 3 came out, I was thinking like, okay, what's the most optimal topic to talk about? What's the most optimal things to discuss? And in between of me thinking all that, I was looking at the community, because I always try to look at the community to see how they feel about stuff, because I love talking to people about Cage, and I also know that, like, I wanted this, like, togetherness feeling of, like, the Cage community, and I wanted to make videos that the community would, like, appreciate, or that the community would, like, maybe even agree with, or something to start like a discussion like that, something like popping in the community. But I just sat down and I kind of started doing it before, but I only half did it. Like when at the start of 2019 or at the start of 2018, I was like, okay, this 2018 is our year. This is our time to succeed, to make these videos. I'm grinding this year. I'm hustling. I got no excuses no more, no school, no nothing. I'm just grinding. And when that happened, I started making a lot more videos that were like a lot more myself, I guess. And I was doing half and half. I took what I was interested in, like Jack and Daxter. At the time, I liked Overwatch. I liked Kingdom Hearts a lot. I liked Steven Universe, and I started making a lot of videos about that sort of thing. And we were growing. We were growing a pretty decent bit off of it at the time. And as more and more Cage trailers started coming out in 2018, I started covering Kingdom Hearts more and more and more. I always was a primarily Cage guy, but I had like 70% of my content was Kingdom Hearts, and the other 30% was like Steven Universe, Jack and Daxter, other nonsense. But like I I was making content that fit my personality a lot more, so I could make something I was comfortable with, but I also did still have that half and half nature where I was like, okay, I'm gonna make what I want to make, but I need to make what I want to make optimally. So I need to think about what videos are gonna blow up in the cage, and what videos are gonna do relatively well in the community or Jack community or Overwatch and whatnot. And my ideas were pretty terrible. Like they weren't the greatest, but I was still growing. I think people started attaching themselves. So I started being myself a little bit more. I think people started to get a feel for my personality and started liking the content more because I was being a lot more genuine. And rather than before, where I was trying my hardest to turn myself into a specific type of quote content creator, but I'm I'm actually just a nerd, just a nerd who likes talking about Kingdom Hearts, and just occasionally other stuff. Uh, but after the Cage 3 discourse, I really started feeling. I took that 50-50 mentality of like, okay, make what you like, but also try to be objective about it, I guess. Try to have, that's what it was, try to be objective about what you like. Now I'm just like, bro, I don't care. Like, I mean, I have certain moments where I'm trying to be like, where I'm trying to be optimal in what I upload, or like covering what's hot or interesting in the community. But everything's interesting to me in the community nowadays, and I just want to make videos that are like genuine, that come from like the heart, the soul, and just talk about what I love about Kingdom Hearts, and hopefully people either resonate with it, or hopefully people like it can spark a discussion for other people. That's a bigger goal I have nowadays, is to spark a discussion for anyone, create thought-provoking topics that people can like talk about in their free time, or talk about in the comment section, just have some fun with. But that's my little tangent. Uh, that's why I like live streams though. Going on tangents is fun. Um, we have similar stories to how we really go into Kingdom Hearts Prodigy A. You know, you're a Cage fan when the only mobile game I was willing to put time into was Union Cross. That's kind of how I was too. I didn't get into the Cage community until the ending of 2019 or on the middle of 2020. Hey, welcome though. I love Steven Universe for so long, but by the ending of the series, I began to dislike it. And honestly, it's a shame that I went from loving it to disliking. I still love Steven Universe, but I like it a little bit less for sure. But I need to finish I need to finish Future. Objectively, 1, 2, and Days are the only S tier. Objectively, there is no objective. There is no objectively. I mean, you could try your hardest to sprout out conversation based off of like based off of your mutual's interest or your community's interest. But even then, you never truly know how vast your community is or how big your reach is within your community, because the craziest of topics or games can blow up, and there's people everywhere who like what you like. It doesn't mean that they are doesn't mean they're always easy to access, but they're around. And I really think it's justified to just like kind of like whatever to a certain degree. I do think communities should come together and like, or not even should. I do think communities. I do think communities should have the ability to have open discussion and have maybe some sort of standard about what's good, bad. But if a standard can't be met, what that means to me is that there is no standard. There's something to like about everything. Like, I'm actually happy that the KH community is a community where I could talk, shoot, like you guys earlier, you guys were so divisive about KH3. A lot of you were even divisive about KH2 or divisive about like BBS's story and stuff, and like putting it, some of you were saying A, some of you were saying C, S tier, but I love that. With Union Cross, some of you were saying D, some of you were saying D, C, B, A, S. Like, I love that the community not necessarily like is divisive, but necessarily I love that the community, that there's people in the community that love each game. There's someone in the case. There's like multiple people, hundreds, thousands of people who have Union Cross as like their S tier, their favorite KH game. There's thousands of people that have Birth by Sleep as their favorite Kingdom Hearts game. Millions that have 2 or 1 or 3 as their favorite, and they're interchangeable. That's cool to me. I don't know. I feel like it would be really lame and I guess kind of less interesting to be in a community where, I guess, like, okay, that's a random example, right? Like, what's a community I know nothing of? Well, I don't know. This is a random example, vague. Like, okay, this series has 30 games. Only 3 of these games are liked by the community. I think that would be lame to like have to be in a community like that. I love that like we're able to have discussions about every KH game, as in depth as we are. Even though Recode has like the least story to some people and might be one of the more unanimously disliked KH games, it's still a game we could talk about for hours if we wanted to. So I love that. You aren't the biggest KH YouTuber, but you are my favorite. Cynical would be tied if he didn't disappear randomly. Well, Cynical has stuff he's going through, but I appreciate that a lot. That really does mean a lot to me. I do try my absolute hardest, like, in every aspect. But, personally, as of right now, I like Dream of Distance gameplay style and flow more than KH2's. I mean, that's fine. Like, it's honestly fine. I love stuff like that. It's awesome. I still love seeing the Steven Universe, but I feel like, they fizzled out the ending. I love Rose's character, but I sort of hate she ended up being the punching bag for all the characters that are still alive. To say she was the reason everything is awful, own your stuff, people. The aunties are just to blame, if not more. Aunties. What? I'm probably missing something. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't watched Steven Universe in like 2 years. I haven't watched anything of Future. Actually, I didn't even finish the ending to Steven Universe, the full ending. I didn't watch the last season. So right when the diamonds, came to did that thing, that's when I stopped. Hey, probably hope you're doing well. I watched a video yesterday about the Dream Eater theory. That's messed up if it's true. It's not surprising, though, because it's all a part of the Master's Madness plan. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, though. I streamed for a lot longer than I thought I would. But thank you guys for coming to the stream. We're actually at, like, almost exactly 2 hours. 2 hours and 1 minute. But thank you guys a lot for coming out to the live stream. I'm going to head out now. If you guys want to show any extra support, once again, like the stream. Even if the stream's unlisted, liking the stream still helps the channel. Make sure to leave a like on your way out. Join the Discord, as I will type in the chat, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys for coming out. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.